Welcome back.
Welcome. How we doing?
I'm going very well. You know who
good.
else is doing very well? Shion.
Shion with her 3 missing fingernails. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's having a good old time.
I mean, she still has 7 left.
It's true. You gotta look at the positive.
You know, I guess technically.
Look, let's be real. She has 7 fingernails, but she's gained 3 friends.
She has...
Or has kept 3 friends.
She has 17 left, really.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. So, how you finding Higurashi so far? You enjoying yourself?
It's good. I think that it's definitely a bit out of the scope, but as I've said a few times this arc, we've kind of been prepared for the change in scope. As I've said several times this arc, obviously we had the preparation from Himatsubushi to kind of get us ready for switching characters, switching perspectives. And I think that both arcs have done a pretty decent job of, getting us to, relate to the characters in a relatively short amount of time compared to how long they've been on screen for. Yeah,
I feel like that's kind of the point that I'm, kind of, not struggling with, but, tossing over my head, because a lot of people that I talk to, they talk about how, they love Shion. They're like, Higurashi is where, specifically they say with Higurashi is where the writing gets good, which I disagree with in the first place. But I feel like, I don't know, that scene there, it was a good scene, but I didn't almost cry on recording, I didn't get totally ripped apart or anything like that. And I hear a lot of people talk about that scene that way of this is the scene where Shion has to do something really horrible to make it up for her BFF and all that, or BF rather, all that sort of thing. I don't know. I don't feel like the things that I've heard people say about this arc are getting to me as much. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out in my head about where I sit on this, but I just don't, I'm enjoying the music, that's great, but I don't feel like I relate to Shion in the way that the novel wants me to, I suppose. I had you remember me back in arc 1 when I did not want to continue recording the latter parts of Higurashi because I was holy shit, Rena, my waifu, my sweet beloved. But in this one I'm there goes another fingernail. I don't know, it's not getting on me as much as it normally does. And I mean, you're the emotionless, brick wall that we expect you to be. But I guess I'm just curious, how you're relating to this compared to the other arcs, if you're feeling as invested, as engaged, that sort of thing. Because I'm not feeling as much, I'll be honest.
I don't know, I feel like I'm more fascinated by this arc than I am some of the previous ones.
Sure.
I think that explicitly having come from Umineko and the way that delivers answers relative to this,
sure,
is really exciting for me to see how drastic that difference is.
Yeah, sure.
And I really love that about it. I mean, I think that to some extent the rushed emotions that we've seen out of Shion, not to say that they're wrong or that they don't have a place, but they're rushed, right?
They are, yeah. I think that moment, that scene that we had there was final, but that moment where Shion realizes oh, the thing that the hag has a problem with is my relationship with Satoshi could. I feel like that should have been built up on a little bit more. In my mind, I pictured that scene with a lot more of the hag actually doing stuff as well. I don't know, more of a back and forth. And maybe, and this is one of those fun things about doing the show, is that because I didn't have any lines, maybe I felt less attached to the story because you were doing all the speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's another fun thing. But
yeah, as I paused last video and I was like, wait a minute, did Ryukishi just skip over these lines?
Yeah.
One of the things that confused me about that moment is that would have been a scene that I would have played out.
Yeah,
right?
there would have been a great moment to be here's the accusation.
Yeah.
These are all the things you did wrong. Because Shion is I didn't do anything wrong, and clearly there's some mistakes being made here, and there's a moment, I can't even remember what the line was now, when they're this is you're always Satoshi, and you gotta man up, you gotta deal with your mistakes and your responsibilities. That's a great message, but I feel if we had gotten that full a little monologue for Oreo there, being this is what it means to be in the family, you know, like the mob scene. Like, because that's what that scene was. It was the mob scene where, like, you have dishonored the family. And you must understand that this is what your place is.
Yeah.
You may not be the heiress, but you are no less important to our image, you know, like that would have been that scene, but we didn't quite get it. And I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that it had such potential to be a strong scene if it was played like that, because we've had the foreshadowing of the, you know, the difficulties between the Sonozaki family and the, you know, Hojo family. We've had this setup of their relationship being rushed. We've had the very, you know, as it brought up, Romeo and Juliet-esque kind of barrier there.
That's the most obvious, you know, media relation,
But it, like... It just breezed over that when that was the key of the scene to me.
It was the like emotional driving point for Shion doing everything she was doing.
Yeah.
And we heard her like rambling in a monologue, which was interesting, but I definitely think that giving more perspective to her actions would probably help in that situation.
Yeah.
One of the scenes that I watched recently, because I was watching someone else play, it was in Yakuza 0, and I can't remember any of the character names. I can't remember much of that game at all. I only watched the first, like, 5 hours or whatever. Most of it was mini games, but there's a scene where because you've been dicked over by one of the like crime family heads, and then his boss comes in and is like, what the fuck is happening here? And he makes the crime family boss, you know, get the little machine out with the slicey blade, little mini guillotine, like slice of his pinky. And I believe it's either immediately before or immediately after a fight scene with that guy. So it really adds to like poignancy of you having to show that you are the real Yakuza man. You know, you are beating him in every respect, and he's dishonored for that loss. And like, I don't think that Higurashi quite wanted to go on that scale of like actual gang fights in the streets, but he definitely could have like played with that genre there, I think, a bit more. Because it's kind of been in the background of this whole arc, right? That idea of like, what if the hag finds out that I'm here and she knows?
Yeah.
And that's like the tension is like, does she know or doesn't she know? And that reveal that she has known but didn't want to like cause Shion any trouble, didn't actually want to punish her, should also be a really powerful moment. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I'm curious to see what else we get to see of Oreo as well, because I don't remember how much of a part she plays in this arc, just from memory, and I'm hoping that we get like a really heartfelt scene with her, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we discussed in the Himatsubushi first recap about how the arc had a lot of potential but didn't land it.
Yeah.
I feel as though this arc has continued that, but not as egregiously.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's more solid.
It's much better written. Like, I think it flows a lot better. A lot of the pacing's like significantly improved. I think it was just given more time is probably the long and short of it.
Yeah.
But it's still, I don't think this arc is quite reaching the potential it had either.
Yeah. I mean, I really like Satoshi. I like him as a character. I think that the relationship between Satoshi and Shion should have been more at this point, which is weird because it's been the whole focus of the arc, but I feel like, I don't know, like a proper date or something might have been appreciated. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my expectations like Western media, because you always have those like sitcoms or rom-coms where they're like, oh no, I've fallen in love with my sister's boss. I'm going to dress up as her and I'm going to go in and I'm going to, you know, get all up on him. And he's like, oh, but that's not a professional relationship. He's like, but I'm not actually your employee. I'm just pretending to be. And that's like the comedy of it.
Right. I mean, I think the other thing that I have to say is this is like one arc out of 8, right?
Sure.
The kind of things we're describing, I think, would have been difficult to do in just one arc.
No, for sure.
And I don't know if in the scope of the story, if this deserved more than an arc.
Well, that's the fun question, isn't it? That said, as usual, my bias comes into this, but I think that the relationship between Keiichi and Rena, whether we think it's romantic or not, in Onikakushi Hen, I think is much better done. Although that has had a little bit more time to breathe, I suppose. By this point in the arc, if that makes any sense.
Thoroughly disagree with you.
Disagree with that?
I will thoroughly disagree with you.
Wow. Okay.
And say that it is the following 2 arcs that have solidified that relationship.
Probably. Yeah. Sure.
What I'm saying specifically with this one is that if we had, you know, an extra 2 arcs to back it up and reframe these scenes, this arc could be stronger without having to be rewritten. But
Sure.
we're not going to get that, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my experience was, particularly unique in that regard, but I think that the impression that you get of Rena and Keiichi's relationship, even if it's not like true or real or whatever's going on there, I think is more compelling. That's the vibe that I get, at least. And that's my bias is stepping in, because I just love her so much.
I definitely think that's a bit of bias.
Yeah.
I don't feel the same about that.
It's fair enough.
Let's carry on.
Let's do it!
I woke up. My memories were missing. I couldn't remember how I got back to my room. I held my head with both hands. My left hand was bandaged. The fingers that had their nails removed had swollen like hot dogs. Got bread around them too?
Yeah.
I paid with those 3 fingernails for what I did. The hags had said something after the punishment, but I didn't remember any of it. I was taken to a hospital in Kinamiya. The car shook on the way, adding extra pain on top of what I already felt. Somebody gave me some aspirin. They worked just like they said on TV, but they didn't last more than 10 minutes. I swallowed the pills without water. While I was spacing out in the waiting lounge, Kasai showed up.
It's your boy.
He probably came to check if I was alright. I obviously wasn't. He must have understood that from my bandaged left arm dangling from my shoulder. Kasai, on the other hand, looked just fine, at least on the outside. I was relieved that my sacrifice had meant something. Kasai didn't say anything.
Aww.
I couldn't tell if he wanted to tell me something or not because he looked so emotionless. It's a shame because if we hadn't seen him, later down the line, it could very much have been implied that he'd had his tongue cut out just then.
Oh no! Sweet baby Kasai.
Kasai.
Yes?
He paused shortly before answering. I could tell he was upset. I didn't regret revealing my true identity in order to protect Satoshi-kun, but I hadn't wanted Kasai or Uncle Yashiro to be hurt. I'd been contradicting myself.
You didn't think about it!
Do you know how Uncle Yashiro is doing?
No. I'm sure he's alright. Because he's strong. Even so, you should apologize to him.
Okay. I wanted to ask him about Satoshi-kun too. I wondered if he was captured or harassed by the Sonozaki family because of me. But I was hesitant to ask Kasai. After all, I'd chosen Satoshi-kun over them. Was Satoshi-kun alright? I'd hoped he wouldn't get caught or incarcerated somewhere. What? You left him at a police station, right?
No, he'll be fine. He won't get caught. He's already been caught, so he can't be caught.
I paid the hospital bill and Kasai gave me a ride home. I finally realized that somebody was knocking on my door.
Shion-san. So healthy to sleep so much.
It was Kasai. He put some side dishes on the table and we started nibbling at them.
How do you feel?
Depressed,
Have you been resting? Have you been eating?
I've been eating the stuff left in the fridge. Otherwise, I've been either sleeping or staring at the ceiling. Also, it completely skipped my mind earlier, but did we just have it, revealed to us, offhand in the previous 2 chapters that Kasai has been spying on Shion for Oreo?
Maybe.
Because he has the room right next door, and it's mentioned later on that he was, watching over Shion for the family.
It might be what's happening.
Love it. Love it. It just, it just finally clicked for me then. That was good. It had been 3 days. I'd just been lying down since then. I woke up every now and then in my shallow sleep, but I didn't feel like getting up or thinking. I felt like I'd just been floating the whole time. My appetite was gone, but it came back with the smell of food Kasai brought. I wasn't able to think of anything to talk to Kasai about, so I just ate silently.
I got a call from Mion-san yesterday. She was saying she called you a few times, but she never got through.
The moment I heard Mion's name, I felt my wounds throb. But I didn't stop Kasai, who continued.
Because you paid up, the family decided to close the matter. You will officially withdraw from St. Lucius and transfer to a school in Okonomiya.
They're finally acknowledging my right to make my own decisions, huh?
Indeed. They said you could live as yourself now, under a few conditions. You will stay away from Minamizawa, you won't pretend to be Mion Sonozaki, you won't show up in public places, and so on. This means...
In exchange for acknowledging me, they don't want me to hang around.
That is correct. Of course, it is only temporary, until things cool down. There is no set duration, but I think you should stay inconspicuous, at least until the end of the year.
Good enough just to live in Kinamiya quietly, the way it was before. Kasai put on a smad smile.
Smad smile.
That's what I said.
Delicious.
I smiled back at him likewise. Before the conversation ended, I should ask him what I wanted to know. How's Satoshi-kun doing? I wish that Kasai would assure me of his safety right away, but he didn't answer like that. Kasai, is he alright?
Shion-san.
Kasai put his chopsticks down.
The family wants you to forget about him.
That's alright, he'll disappear, it'll be fine. Easy peasy.
Shion-san, I don't want to get in an argument with you, so I will not get into the details. I'm only relaying to you what the family wants.
What are you talking about? What details, Kasai? Kasai pretended as though he didn't hear me and started eating again. I'd never seen him get so stubborn like this. The Sonozaki family had been using the Hojo family as a scapegoat. They must have concluded that a Sonozaki shouldn't be in love with a Hojo. I didn't like that. Sadako's a friend of Mion's at school. Would it be okay if Sadashi-kun and I were the same gender? Anyway, if I did something conspicuous again, they might do something to him for real, just like they forced me to remove my own fingernails. The Sonozaki family wouldn't hesitate. They'd torture him if need be. Maybe if I really loved him, I should stay away. Sadashi-kun wouldn't show up in Akinomiya, unless he rejoins the Hinamizawa fighters. I'd have to pretend to be Mion if I wanted to go to Hinamizawa, but I didn't think she'd cooperate with me. Even if she did, it'd be some time down the road. Even if they told me not to see him. I already had no means of doing that again. Ah, wait. Mion gave me his number a little while ago. I could call him. And maybe ask to meet with him secretly. If I got caught again, they wouldn't cut me any slack. Should I risk it? What the hell did I even want from Sadashi-kun? Kasai, can I be alone for a moment? Kasai started putting away his food in a rush, assuming that I wanted him to leave. No, that's not what I meant. Take your time and finish your food. I just want to take a walk.
You can't lock this place up if I don't step out with you.
Kasai quickly put away his meal and followed me out. Just to be clear, I'm not going out to see Sadashi-kun, alright? Can't wait to just run into him anyway.
I see.
I turned around and started walking.
I'm not going to see Satoshi-kun. Don't worry about it.
My destination was rather pathetic. It was the toy store that sold the giant teddy bear. I couldn't deny I was somewhat expecting Satoshi-kun to pass by there. Couldn't stop myself from looking at the faces of passers-by who resembled him. I looked into the store's window. The teddy bear was gone. Congrats, Satoshi-kun. Looks like you were able to buy it. His evil aunt had died and his wicked uncle was living with his mistress. Satoshi-kun succeeded in fulfilling his duty as a big brother by buying his little sister that huge teddy bear. There was nobody left to hurt him. He was free from his tiresome efforts. He was completely free from pain. Over time, he'd retrieve his smile. I just had, like, the momentary image.
I don't. Oh no!
Oh
no!
Full on horror movie bullshit of Satoshi re-emerging down the line, just like his body like tied into the shell of the teddy bear. Some like fucking horror monster walking down with like blood dripping from the eyes of the teddy bear.
Let's send Shion to Silent Hill and let's see how she goes, because that'd be her final boss.
I see. Over time, he'd retrieve his smile and he'd go back to being the Satoshi-kun I love. But I wouldn't be there with him. Honk honk.
Honk honk.
We keep getting so good at sound effects and then it's just like, yeah.
Honk honk. It's the best sound effect.
I heard a goose honking. I didn't think it was honking at me first, but it was so persistent that I had to look up. The person waving at me from their car was Irie.
Hello.
Oh, God. He was waving at me all carefree, oblivious to my feelings.
Come into my goose, I have air conditioning.
He just fucking leans out the eye. Like it's just a regular sized goose with like a fucking Lego minifig size Irie waving out the eyeball.
That's amazing. That's my headcanon for this scene. With these fucking avocado shell glasses. Here we go. Sonozaki-san, long time no see. Oh, are you meeting up with Hojo-san?
No, I'm not.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, I know he looks into that store's windows all the time, so I assumed you were expecting him there or something.
No, I'm just passing by. Looks like he was able to buy that teddy bear. Irie seemed to know about the teddy bear as well. He smiled upon seeing its empty display space.
Yesterday was Satoko-chan's birthday. He must have celebrated with that teddy bear.
He doesn't have to work so hard anymore, huh?
Indeed.
Did he turn in his resignation to the Hinamizawa fighters?
Oh, does that even exist? Oh, I never received one. Did you, Sonozaki-san?
No, I didn't.
So that means he still belongs to the team. I think he'll be back after things have settled down.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
But I know he'll be sad if he doesn't see you there.
Irie teased me. He's a grown-up after all. Must have been trying to sound optimistic because he knew I was feeling a bit down.
You can come back to the team anytime you want. It might as well be empty without you. I'm thinking of providing you with a... God damn it, Irie. I'm thinking of providing you with a maid costume once you come back.
I burst into laughter. Irie sure hadn't changed.
I have it inside this tiny goose here.
Oh, I almost forgot. I can tell you my name now. Sorry, Coach, I was lying about my identity. I'm not Mion. I'm a twin sister, Shion. Been pretending to be her for a few reasons.
Oh, what? Oh, you're Mion's twin sister.
He was totally taken aback. I burst into laughter again. Yes, I'm Shion Sanazaki. I'm forced to live quietly because my grandmother hates me, though.
I never realized that Mion-san had a twin sister. No, same here.
Is Keiichi next? We're almost there. Who else is it? Tomataki and Keiichi, that's all we need.
That's the only characters that haven't showed up yet.
Suddenly a loud voice interrupted.
It's a very loud voice.
The voice sounded mean and greasy, unlike Irie's. It was him, Ooishi.
Speaking of personal bias, hello, Dr. Irie. Thank you for your cooperation last night.
That's the most suspicious fucking line we've had this entire goddamn arc.
Could be anything. Don't mention it, I wasn't of much help.
We were just going through the motions. It was obvious they hated each other. Irie whispered to me.
I'm leaving now. Do you want to get in my goose? I can goose you home. Continue.
How does this even work? Does the goose fly? Does it walk?
I assume it flies because then we can call it the spruce goose. Because then we can call it the spruce goose.
Spruce goose?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooishi. I figured that Ooishi was after me, so he was giving me a chance to slip away.
Up in, Smithers. And then Irie flies away in his goose.
Looking at Uishi's face, it was clear that his focus was on me, not Irie.
That was a very good Simpsons episode.
He probably intended to interrogate me until my testimony broke. I was sure I could talk my way out of it, but it'd just be a waste of time. Alright, Coach, let's get going.
Alright, fine. Oh, you're going somewhere together in that goose. Yeah, we're on our way to get some stuff for the team. We have to drop by a few places, so will you excuse us?
Irie bowed. I followed suit. I had to admire how good he was at lying. He's a grown-up after all. Yeah, because that's
true.
That's what
That's
defines
such a good
people
line.
being good at lying.
Now that's a good lie, actually.
It is.
Like, all adults are good at lying.
Uishi seemed to know it was a lie, but he didn't have a warrant, so he couldn't stop us. I moved to get into Irie's goose.
Hey, how are your wounds, Shion Zonozaki-san?
I gasped when I heard that. My left hand was bandaged. It was unsightly, so I kept it in my pocket. There's no way Ooishi could have been able to see it.
It's true. It's impossible. They'll heal with no problems if they don't get infected. I tore my fingernails off a couple of times myself when I was a kid in Yakuza. But look! They look beautiful now, don't they?
Ugh, men's fingernails shouldn't look beautiful. It gives me the creeps. Ooishi scratched his head and chuckled. He's supposed to be one of the best cops at the Academia PD. And knows about all the underground activities in the region. Must have heard about my payment from somewhere. Still, that happened in the secret basement of the Sonozaki main house. Couldn't underestimate this guy's sources. Thank you for your kind words. We'll be going now. Excuse us.
Shion Zonozaki-san, why don't we get coffee together sometime?
What? You're hitting on me.
If you like.
Sorry, time flies. Can't waste any of that precious time on things that don't interest me.
Whoa! You got me there. How about this then? You can leave any time if you get bored of talking to me. I won't stop you. How does that sound?
I don't mind talking, but I won't talk back. And that you could call it a conversation.
Don't worry, that's what I do in all of my conversations anyway. That would be fine. You can just listen and I will talk. You can just listen to an old man ramble, we sipping on a cup of coffee.
He was being strangely persistent. Didn't look like he was trying to poke a hole in my statement. What would he even talk about? I got a bit curious even though I was still skeptical. Coach, I think I'll go with the old man instead.
Wow. Mia, I mean Shion-san.
I winked at him and told him not to worry. He didn't insist. He got in his Goose and drove off.
Flew off.
Well, yeah, but he's still driving the Goose.
I see,
even if the Goose is flying.
I see, I understand. There's a little wheel inside the brain cavity.
Ooishi backed up his car so I could get in. I hopped in the back seat since I didn't want to sit next to him.
Oh.
I'm just imagining back in Arc 3 where Irie went shopping with Sadako.
Yes.
And it just flies in with the Goose, like with a shopping bag
In
all
his
in
mouth.
the Goose's mouth.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like some weird fucking kids movie shit where you approach
it's
the
like a
Goose
fairy
and
tale.
you just shrink to the correct size to fit in its eyeball.
It's a fairy tale. It's a tale of Irie and his Spruce Goose.
That's right. We're really going to a cafe.
If you could direct me to one with no connection to our family, that would be great.
Tokyo it is. Why don't you just take me to the station then? She carefully checked for oncoming traffic and then started driving. She took me to the police station as I thought he might. If he'd take me to a nice cafe, he would have scored some points, but whatever.
I thought it would be more convenient if we just came here. You can still go home if you get bored.
Try your best not to bore me then. Do you want me to go into the station hand in hand with you? She chuckled and got out of the car. He escorted me inside the station.
Oh no.
I thought he'd take me to an interrogation room, but instead he took me to an office of the investigation division.
Oh, here we go.
Officers in both suits and uniforms were working at their desks, answering phones. There was a desk with a plate that said section manager, and nearby there were couches and a table. She told me to sit on the couch and started making some instant coffee. I'd never been to this part of the police station. I looked around in curiosity.
Did you think I'd take you to an interrogation room?
She brought over a tray with coffee cups on it. You're treating me better than I expected. I thought you'd whip me or something. Nah, that's more Irie's thing.
My taste don't run that way. Nah.
So, I thought you wanted to talk.
Alright, I'll cut to the chase. Are you in love with Satoshi Hojo-san?
You see, I'm a bit of a matchmaker.
Yes. I have top 10 tips for Ooishi's love life. Number 1, always talk. That is it.
What? It's getting boring already. I'm going home.
Handcuffs do more than restrain. What? Nah, please forget that. Tosses book out window.
Ooishi must have known why I had to remove my fingernails. He wasn't trying to confirm that I liked Satoshi-kun. What he was really saying was that he knew already.
I already told to Detective Guma-chan about Satoshi-kun's alibi that day.
All right.
Oh, I see.
Points away.
I see what's happening.
Points away.
I guess did they get points? What happens there?
Points away.
Who gets points?
Ryukashi gets points.
He gets
That's what
points?
points away means.
Oh, is that what that means in the Bible of the rules?
I mean, who the fuck is gonna...
You know what? Whatever.
Why would you see? You already knew that he was gonna refer to him as Kuma-chan.
I know. I was just so excited to talk, I guess. You know what? That's fine. You just do it. Just
tell
do
you
it.
what,
I'm not even mad about that one.
I'll give Ryukashi
a point.
3 points.
3 points!
But
What?
we get a point because you knew he was gonna call him Kuma-chan.
Thank you. We get Kuma-chan points.
Exactly.
Damn right.
I already talked to Detective Kumagai about Satoshi-kun's alibi that day.
Of course, I read Kumagai-kun's report. Yes, that is his name. I know you were with him.
And just repeat the same statement no matter how many times you ask. Don't you think you can poke holes in it?
No, that's not what I want. You're a smart person. I know that wouldn't work for you.
I wonder what you're after. You're wasting your time if you want information on Satoshi-kun. There's nothing more to talk about. This is boring me after all. I'm going home. Since that was our agreement. Excuse me. I got up off the couch.
Here we go. Shion-san, I did want to get Satoshi-san's alibi from you. I admit it.
That's it then. It's boring. I'm going home. I turned around and started walking. Ooishi didn't get anxious, but instead spoke a little louder.
The hook. Here comes the hook.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. But Shion-san, what I want to ask you about is his alibi for yesterday, not the day of the murder.
His alibi for yesterday. Why? What does that have to do with his aunt's death?
The hook. He got him. Now reel him in. It's because Satoshi-kun has been missing since then.
Oh, my goodness. And
Yay!
she's been asleep for so many days.
Here we go.
What?
What? Didn't you know that he went missing?
You couldn't say anything, but my expression answered Uishi's question anyway. I love that in my head right now,
Yeah.
I'm imagining that it was either Irie takes Shion away on the Goose to see Satoshi,
Okay.
or Ooishi takes Shion away in the car to talk about Satoshi.
Yeah, the air conditioning car. Yeah, sure.
So, like, either way, she was going to find out about this. It was just going to be from very different sources.
I suppose so.
What's going on? Missing what?
Why don't you take a seat, please?
Hook, line, sinker.
There it is. Now sink into the chair.
What do you mean Satoshi-kun has gone missing? What the hell?
We only know one thing for sure. He withdrew all of his savings at an ATM in the Okonomiya post office before 3 p.m. yesterday. We don't know his whereabouts after that.
I knew why he withdrew that money. He wanted to buy Sadako's birthday present. Yeah, he definitely bought that teddy bear yesterday.
We have evidence to support that theory. This is just my guess, but I think he skipped town with that money.
You mean he used the money to run away? That's stupid. He was saving to buy Sadako a birthday present. He bought a big, expensive teddy bear from the toy store. He never used that money to skip town.
Yes, the most expensive teddy bear in the toy store was sold, but we can't confirm or deny that it was Satoshi-kun who bought it.
Why don't you ask the clerk? Satoshi-kun and I reserved that teddy bear together. Oh, I had a bad feeling. That old man who was watching that toy store was sleeping when we were there. He looked very senile. Maybe he was also watching that toy store on the day, and even though Satoshi-kun bought the teddy bear, he didn't remember. She put on a wry smile. Looked like he'd already tried to question that old man. Anyway, Satoshi-kun who brought the teddy bear. He must have saved just enough to buy it, so he shouldn't have been able to run away after. That's nonsense.
Alright, let's say he really did buy the teddy bear. Then why didn't he come home with it?
There we go.
There we go.
Have we ever had it transition?
Negative Ooishi.
Have we ever had it transition in the wipe from the center?
I don't know. I like that effect though. It's beautiful.
So high tech. At that point, I felt as though my heart had turned to ice. Satoshi-kun had been working hard to buy that teddy bear even though he was under extreme mental and physical stress. After all that, he finally managed to buy it. It's unthinkable that somebody else just showed up and bought the same teddy bear. The teddy bear was gone because Satoshi-kun bought it. Nobody else. But if so, Satoshi-kun should have given it to Sadako. Though he bought a present for her, he didn't come home.
Oh no.
He didn't come home. That wasn't possible. He would have gone straight home with that teddy bear. He wouldn't think of running away after buying the teddy bear, even though Satoshi-kun wanted to run away from the police. He'd never leave without giving Sadako her present. Anyway, it must have been Satoshi-kun who brought that teddy bear. I keep saying brought for some reason.
It's alright. We know what you mean. We know what your heart says.
I can say that with 100% certainty. The question was, why didn't he bring it home?
Some pretty high level of certainty there.
The teddy bear was huge. It wouldn't fit into the basket of a bicycle. He might have brought some straps to tie it to his bike. He wouldn't have thought of running away on a wobbly bicycle like that. He necessarily had to go home after buying the teddy bear from the store after withdrawing the money. Nothing could have happened when he was going between the ATM and the toy store. It was impossible. Nobody else could possibly have bought that teddy bear. Never. The teddy bear had been sitting in the showcase up until that day. Everybody could see it when they passed by. But nobody wanted it. It's impossible that it could have been somebody else. There should be no question that he went to the toy store after he withdrew the money. What about the route between the toy store and his home? There shouldn't be any question there either. He shouldn't have been able to do anything with that huge toy. He shouldn't even have thought of making a stop on the way. So he must have headed home, right after he bought the teddy bear. But nobody saw him after that. It was simple then. Satoshi-kun went missing on his way home from the toy store. He went missing. What did that mean? I was sure he killed his aunt. He's not that shrewd. Maybe he couldn't bear the pressure from the police. Was he resigned to the idea that the police were going to arrest him soon, regardless of my help? Did he decide to run away? Did he think he should disappear until things cooled down rather than get arrested? That was definitely, absolutely impossible. It was impossible that he came to that conclusion on his way home from the toy store. If he did, he would have waited until he gave Sadako her birthday present. Satoshi-kun loved Sadako. He shouldn't have spoiled her like that, but anyway, he always tried to be a good brother to her, so he'd never disappear before going home. I felt as though the ice was cutting through my heart, expanding the frost. If Satoshi-kun didn't disappear by his own will, the answer was simple. Satoshi-kun disappeared by somebody else's will. Was Satoshi-kun eliminated? That's really stupid, old man. I thought I could shake off the frost in my heart if I laughed loudly enough. I kept laughing until it happened. I kept laughing and laughing. All the cops in the room stared at me. They thought I'd gone crazy. I didn't care what they thought. I kept laughing until it turned to a cough. I finished laughing and took a sip of lukewarm coffee. I felt as though the frost in my heart had spread all through my guts. I was chilled to the bone. I was freezing. My fingers shook as I held the coffee cup.
Shion-san, please listen to me without interrupting. What I am about to tell you is only a hypothesis. It's all just a theory. You might start laughing in the middle because it may sound completely ridiculous, but I want you to hear me out. Can you do that, please?
Whatever, just talk. I was feeling far too cold. My teeth were chattering. I felt as though my brain had frozen as well. I lost my ability to think. I couldn't do anything by myself. I could only do as Ooishi told me. What he was going to tell me might be the worst possible theory, but I had to listen to it.
I know that Satoshi-kun's and Setiko-san's aunt was abusing them, especially Setiko-san. In my opinion, it is normal that Satoshi-kun started thinking about murdering his aunt because he was just a human being.
I had to deny that Satoshi-kun murdered her. But what Ooishi was saying was true. I couldn't deny his hypothesis right away. I just kept silent.
This is only a hypothesis, alright? Please don't be upset and no interruptions. Agreed?
I know, just go on.
Damn straight. Satoshi Hojo planned the murder of his aunt and executed it. We have no proof, okay? It's all theoretical.
Alright, I heard. Just keep talking.
Good. Alright, I'll switch the subject now. Shion-san, you were forbidden from having relationship with Satoshi-kun, weren't you? They told you to stay away from him, correct? I believe the reason behind that is not that your family hated the Hojos, but that they didn't like the fact that you were involved with a murder suspect.
That is actually possible. After all, when I was pretending to be Mion, I already had a connection with Satoshi-kun. Before anyone knew it was Shion who was spending time around him. I could have been accused when I was helping out the Hinamizawa fighters if the relationship between the Hojos and the Sonozakis was the problem. It wouldn't be difficult for the Sonozaki family to know that Satoshi-kun murdered his aunt, if it happened in Hinamizawa. Maybe one of them even saw the murder. The Sonozaki family didn't like that I was in love with the murderer. They decided to step in.
Also, you are known to not give up easily, aren't you? Which means, even if the Sonozaki family threatened you or ripped off your nails, you still wouldn't cut ties with Satoshi-kun, would you?
I couldn't deny that. I lost most of my means to access Hinamizawa, so my ties to Satoshi-kun were essentially cut, true. But I still knew Satoshi-kun's phone number, and I expected him to rejoin the Hinamizawa fighters eventually.
I believe that your family knew that the few threats would never be enough for you to break ties with Satoshi-kun. They could threaten you all they liked to no avail. So, their only option would be to do something about the other person, wouldn't it?
What do you mean do something? What would they do? What?
It's only theoretical.
If threatening me was useless, then they'd do something about Satoshi-kun. What would they have done? If they pulled something, then wouldn't that interrupt his path from the toy store to home? Toy store to home. Toy store to X. To home. What's X? What is X? X marks the spot where his path was interrupted. But what interrupted it? Why couldn't Satoshi-kun make it home from the toy store if something interrupted him? Why? What's X?
Trap X.
I ran out of air, became dizzy, and then collapsed. The floor felt cold. I thought she was on the couch. I felt no pain. I had fallen to the floor like a plastic doll. Ooishi and some others rushed over to me and helped me up.
Calm down, Shion-san. We're not certain that Satoshi-kun was killed yet.
I'm not certain he was killed. What the fuck are you talking about? Don't you know the torture room where they forced me to rip off my fingernails? Don't you know that they say there are prison cells in a well for disposing of corpses in the back? If the Sonozaki family wants to eliminate somebody, then they definitely kill them in that torture room and dump the body down there. You're not certain? Are you dumb? Is your brain made of tofu? If I were in the hag's position, I'd kill him for sure. I wouldn't let him get away. If I would kill him for sure, then the hag would definitely kill him.
Shion-san, please calm down. This is unconfirmed, but I have information that somebody witnessed a young runaway male at Nagoya Station who took a train from there to Tokyo. The clothes didn't match, but it is possible that he changed what he was trying to hide from the police. It's still possible that it was him.
Is he alive? Is he?
This is also just a theory. But let me go on. Your twin sister Mion-san is the closest person to Oryo Sunazaki, correct? I am assuming that Mion-san stopped Oryo when she suggested murdering Satoshi-kun furtively.
Mion. That was possible. She could have tried to calm things down out of pity for me. That idiot was always so indecisive. She should have been clear on if she wanted to save him or not, but she probably seemed vague about that. She must have persuaded the hag to reduce the punishment to banishment instead of death just to avoid feeling guilty.
I believe that the Sunazaki family contacted Satoshi-kun. They probably told him that they couldn't cover up the murder and told him to disappear somewhere far away. They forced him to be more accurate.
Satoshi-kun would have rejected that. He would never leave Sadako behind.
I agree with you. Satoshi-kun was working at the places Mion-san referred him to, wasn't he? So the family knew that he had enough money for a getaway.
But he'd never use it for anything other than buying the teddy bear.
You're right. He must have gone straight to the toy store after he withdrew the money, but what if the teddy bear was already sold when he got there?
It would have been a very desolate situation. He'd been working hard. While his aunt abused him, he worked at many different jobs. Money was worth all that pain. He went to the toy store with that money in order to buy his beloved sister a present. That was the only purpose for that money. He must have looked for the teddy bear as he'd always done, but it was gone. He wouldn't have gone into a panic right away, because he was always so optimistic. He might have thought the store was wrapping the gift for him because he told them that he'd pick it up that day. He must have gone into the store joyously. I couldn't guess at exactly what happened next. My heart would tear up if I tried to imagine it anyway. Why didn't they have it even though he had it reserved? Did that old man understand the situation, or was he just zoning out? Maybe it would have been the same even if it wasn't that old man who was at the store at that time. If a bunch of fierce-looking subordinates from the Sonozaki family went in and showed them the money, nobody could have rejected it. Satoshi-kun must have sunk into silence. No matter how hard he complained, the teddy bear was gone. He probably never even considered that his dream might be taken away. He must have been wobbling his way home in sorrow, leaning on the telephone poles every now and then. It was the day he wanted Sadako to be happy the most. He could get the present she wanted the most. He probably didn't think of getting another gift, because it was unimaginable that he couldn't get that teddy bear. He might have imagined how Sadako would react when she found out he had no present for her. He must have looked unbelievably sad and empty. The money he'd been saving meant nothing anymore. Satoshi-kun never cried, even at his toughest moments. Did he even know how to cry? It was always Sadako who was crying, so Satoshi-kun never learned how to cry and he grew up that way. Did you know? People shed sadness from their hearts with tears. Satoshi-kun wasn't even allowed to do that. Even though his heart was filled with sorrow, he couldn't let it out.
You insisted he wouldn't leave Satoko-sen behind, didn't you? But think. What if the Sonozaki family told him that they'd look after her after his disappearance?
After Satoshi-kun found out the teddy bear was gone, all he had left was some crumpled bills. The family told him it was just a matter of time before the police got to him. They told him to run away, said they'd take care of Sadako. Satoshi-kun didn't feel like seeing his sister. He wandered and found himself at Akinomiya Station. He must have been apologizing to Sadako so many times in his mind. He swore to come back someday. He headed to Nagoya, and then to Tokyo. But that meant he's alive. He's alive. I should be able to see him again someday. He must be coming back, so I'll definitely see him again.
I assume that the Sonozaki family set up some place for him to stay. Satoshi-kun must have gone there.
So he's safe. He's coming back someday, right? Ooishi looked up at the ceiling and stretched. He didn't answer me.
Oh crap, on June 24th, 1982, Sashi Hojo went missing. There is a possibility that he ran away, as he was a prime suspect of the murder that happened on the 20th of the same month. Allegedly, someone resembling him was seen at Nagoya Station, embarking on a train headed to Tokyo, but the truth is unknown. No one has seen him since. As a matter of fact, no one even knows if he's still alive.
I didn't click. That wasn't me.
I know. I don't blame you on that. I could tell that you were not about to fuck me over. Also, aliens are attacking London. And that was the scene.
War of the Worlds.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Let's go. Tips.
Yay! The best part of the arc, the tips.
This is big spooky happening right now.
Let's
Train to nowhere.
Train to nowhere. Oh no! This little arrow, a little green arrow, it's pointing somewhere. But where?
Who knows?
Nowhere is the answer.
The information that Satoshi-kun might have headed to Tokyo hasn't been verified. It started as follows. A young man came to the lost and found window looking for his wallet. The station employee asked him to write down his name on the form. Then the young man started writing Hojo as his name, but stopped in the middle, crumpled the form, and wrote a totally different name on another form. Another station employee witnessed a similar-looking young man rushing into the train headed to Tokyo. The employee from the lost and found and the employee who was on the platform talked about the suspicious young man in the locker room. That was all. The wallet of the man named Hojo was never reported as found to the Lost and Found office. Interesting, very brief.
Little bits of mystery.
At first I thought Ooishi's theory that the Sonozaki family banished Satoshi-kun from Hinamizawa and looked after Sadako in return was bogus. But thinking about it now, it doesn't seem too far-fetched.
But what is now?
After all, Sadako Hojo started living with Rika Furude after Satoshi-kun's disappearance. Rika Furude isn't just a regular girl. She was the head of the Furude family, one of the 3 families. The head of the Kimiyoshi family is Rika Furude's guardian. The Sonozaki family probably couldn't step in due to having been officially opposed to the Hojo family. But Sadako Hojo is in the custody of the 3 families now. Even though the Hojo family was severely ostracized during the dam conflict, Sadako Hojo was now under protection. It seems as though only Sadako was exempted from blame. Why was she spared even though Satoshi-kun wasn't? These are all very brief tips.
It's good fun. Well, that was a good chapter. I enjoyed that.
It was very interesting because,
many theories being posed, but it's just a theory, bro. Don't worry about it. It's a theory.
I don't know.
Don't get stressed about it. Yeah?
Like, the way that is leaning makes it seem like they do... Like, I was saying... Was it the start of this video or the start of last one? I was saying that they might actually, give it away who it was, what happened to Satoshi.
I think it was this video.
Like...
I assume.
Ugh, God, I'm losing track.
That's right.
Too many in a day.
Yeah. 2 episodes?
Exactly.
You're right. You should do 1 a day, really.
We really should. But, that... I don't know, that entire scene, none of the evidence seemed to be particularly consequential. It's like, oh yeah, the store clerk, he didn't remember, and then a couple of guys at the train station said they saw a guy write down a name and then go onto the train to Tokyo.
None of it was very concrete. But if you don't think that the purpose of that scene was to provide concrete clues to the audience, what other purpose does it serve, Felix? How you feeling about that scene?
The main thought I have about that scene is maybe that clarifies to me where Ooishi's getting his information from.
Maybe.
Because it seems like all of the years before 1983, he has a lot clearer picture of what's going on. 1982 less so than 78, 1983 less so than 82, 1985 even less so.
He's starting to lose his marbles a little bit.
Maybe that's not the impression I was getting, but the thought occurred to me during this scene that maybe the reason that all of this shit is able to, go completely under Ooishi's radar, who's responsible for all of the different, all of the serial murders and whatnot, is... if the person who is Ooishi's insider to, the underground crime rings and the Sonozaki family is also tied up with whoever is actually responsible, and because they're giving him so much information on other things, what's actually going on is allowed to just kind of slip through the cracks.
Maybe. I think the thing that I would sort of lean towards in my own kind of thinking is that it really highlights because obviously Ooishi goes to, Keiichi more often than not, like, hey, you're now the guy who's going to help me solve everything. I think that this arc does this chapter rather does a good job of showing, like, hey, Ooishi really is just grasping at straws. Like, he doesn't really have, even though he says, I have an insider. He says, I've got all these police reports and we've found or haven't found wallets. Like, there's all these official investigations going on. But looking back on the previous arcs, he always has to default to, like, let's get this outside kid who doesn't know shit to be, like, my primary source of investigation, right? I think that's definitely something to pull away from that. And in terms of Shion, like, how do I even express this? Like, looking at how like, I guess in a similar way to how Keiichi was chatting with Ooishi and his viewpoint of his friends was very much changed back in Arc 1, seeing how Shion's mind, like the way that her opinion of characters and events is being changed by having a chat with Ooishi, like that's something that's still constant. Ooishi is the bringer of death. He's also the character who is like, here's some circumstantial evidence. What do you think of that? It's pretty concrete, right?
Yeah,
he does that a lot.
I think another thing is about that entire scene is, we've had the whole train story brought up multiple times. I don't remember when it was first. It might have even been Arc 1.
Yep, I think it was, yeah. I think it was Renner who brought it up first time.
But, like, there are so many different possibilities what could be going on there.
Sure.
Like, if we take it as what Ooishi said, that he's, like, going because the Sonozaki family told him to, like, it makes sense, but it's also entirely circumstantial and relies on a bunch of, like, pure testimony and not much hard evidence.
Sure.
Like, if we were to say, for example, that, he bought the thing, was accosted by someone and was like, fuck, I need to run away to save my sister, or whatever, runs to the train station and tries to put his name down so that he's, like, hiding his identity from whoever's chasing, like, because we've had the themes introduced there, the fact that he's like, running from something.
Sure.
And I think I would be open to using those themes.
Yeah. I guess if it's not Satoshi at the train station, who do you think it would be? Do you think there's any other character who might fit that description or be at the train station? Is there anyone that springs to mind? Or
not really. I mean, there's
enough.
no one immediately introduced in the story that I can think of who that would be.
Yeah, sure.
Like, the only other character of around the right age we really have in the story would be Keiichi, and he's not here yet, right?
Yep.
And the closest character in appearance would be Irie, but everyone is very clear on the fact that Irie is an adult. So I don't know. I don't think that that's what I should be getting from that scene.
I mean, it could be Sadako, but she's wearing Satoshi's clothes and she's pretending to be him.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think...
yeah.
I think that, as with everything that I've done across this anime Echo, it's very important to take what's in the scene and try apply it to something.
Yep.
As your question was kind of leaning towards.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I think that the fact
that's where all my questions lean towards.
The fact that we've heard about Satoshi going to this train station so many times, I think probably does mean to me that Satoshi did go to the train station.
Okay.
The fact that it explicitly mentions that the guy that got on the train to Tokyo maybe looked as the same as the guy who wrote the name down for the lost and found wallet. The thought that I had is if, like, Satoshi was, like, abducted at the train station,
maybe,
but he, like, dropped his wallet, which is a throwback to last arc, then, maybe that's the people who abducted him going up and being like, oh, hey, I lost my wallet. Could you try find it?
I see.
Because they're trying to not, like, lose grasp of their abduction.
Sure. I did have one more question for you, actually. You mentioned that, like, all the evidence presented there is, like, testimonies and, like, it's not super hard evidence. What would you like? How would you expect to be, like, hard evidence of what Ooishi is saying? What's the sort of thing you would be looking for? You got any ideas about, like, what might help you with that decision?
I mean, I guess if we're, like, actually finding evidence firsthand, like, when we actually got the wallet in Arc 4, that's a bit more concrete.
Sure.
And obviously, as with what we kind of expect happened in Arc 4, that can be falsified, right?
Sure.
Someone could have dropped the wallet, someone could have staged a scene, someone could have done, anything to still fake hard evidence.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think that when we get explicitly a testimony,
Sure.
there is immediately the possibility that they just lied, which is so
Sure.
much simpler than like faking something.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of what I want to kind of lean into, because we've got these tips here, which are all of Shion's writings and her own testimony, I suppose. And there's a question, and I don't want to like, this is not me asking like, do you think that Shion is a reliable narrator or whatever? But like, that is, I think, something that we're kind of leaning towards. It's something that we have leaned towards in previous arcs too. Is like, we're getting Shion's like biased perspective, and when we're looking for evidence to kind of solve the mysteries, it can be difficult to look at, you know, through the perspective of one character, and get like the entire truth, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. And I think that that's particularly relevant when looking at Shion's diaries.
Yeah.
Here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to more of that in the future.
I'm ready.
More bias.
Next time.
Next time.